I'd like to invite the eminent speakers for the next panel on how can technology facilitate cognitive and independent learning. And for that, we have eminent speakers from the school ecosystem across the country. We have with us Mr. Francis Fernandes, Principal, Asia English School, Ahmedabad. I request him to come on stage, please. Huge round of applause for him, please. He'll be playing the role of moderator as well for this session. We're also joined by Sonia Anil Verma, Principal, KR Mangalam World School, Greater Noida. A huge round of applause for her, please. We're also joined by Rita Singh, Director, Indirapuram Group of Institutions. A huge round of applause for her, please. And we're also joined by Indu Sharma, Principal, Sunder World School, Ghaziabad. A huge round of applause for her as well. Over to you, Francis. We're also joined by Rita Singh, Director, Indirapuram Group of Institutions. A huge round of applause for her, please. And we're also joined by Indu Sharma, Principal, Sunder World School, Ghaziabad. A huge round of applause for her as well. Over to you, Francis. Yeah.
Good afternoon. We are keeping you and the lunch away for 40 minutes, so please bear with us. But we have an interesting topic that has been dealt out to us. And the topic is, how can technology facilitate cognitive and independent learning? We have got four principles on the panel. And we are going to discuss how independent or self-directed learning and cognitive learning, the technology facilitates it. So now, what is independent learning and what is self-directed learning? It is the student taking responsibility for his own learning, choosing the sources that they want, from where they sought the information. And when we talk about cognitive learning, it is understanding that learning involves a change, that there is a change in the learner's knowledge, and the change is happening because of the learner's experiences. So we reflect on experiences, we discuss them, and then we ask the students to justify and explain their thinking. And that's how technology also comes in when we talk about independent learning and cognitive learning. So before we begin, the esteemed panelists could share their thoughts in 2 minutes for the opening remarks, and then we'll have a short discussion.
Sticking to the topic, 40 seconds opening. I would say whenever we talk about technology in connection with education, let's talk about it as a tool. It is not to replace anything. So that is my opening remark. Please consider whatever tech apps are there or tech tools are there, call it tool and use it as that. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. I think I'll take another note of it, that technology is the future of the country. Technology supporting education is the transition, that is what is expected. And the previous panel also had been talking about the same. And this technology in schools, universities comes with the resources, whether it is hardware, software, but the brain comes, and that is the role of a teacher, a professor, because that element has to be strong within the country to have our successful ventures, if I'm using technology in right sense. So this is from my side to start with the session.
Thank you, Sonia ma'am. My input is technology is now an end thing and it is going to stay forever. How we are going to use it, extract the best from it, is the basic thing we have to focus on. It is going to stay, and we have to adapt ourselves to learn, extract best from it.
So from our opening remarks, it is very clear. We are going to be crisp, we are going to be to the point, and we are going to make this an insightful discussion that helps us to actually use technology in our classrooms and make independent learning and cognitive learning happen. So the first question I would direct to Rita Singh. When we talk about technology to be used in independent learning, we are giving the students the power to choose media. So how do you think media literacy, which we talk about as a 21st century skill, is important when we are making the students learn independently? Your thoughts?
I think the moment we all decided to do this conference or conclave on the education and skill, the moment we decided for this theme on technology, and the moment we all decided to be part of it, I mean, I'm sure everybody who's sitting in this room is thoroughly convinced that technology is the way. When we're talking about technology, why technology? How technology, I think a lot of providers and vendors have already talked about it. So I would try to focus on why technology. I take it as a tool which will help us create independent learners. When you're talking about why media literacy should be adopted by students, I would talk about first the independent learning that must, we as educators, we as facilitators must create educated, independent learning in the education ecosystem. When we talk about independent learners, what are we actually looking at? We are looking at, I as a learner would like to have a self-paced learning. If I want to pick up something, I should be able to do it at my own time. In my own style, what is my learning style? Are we actually concentrating on our learning styles? Am I a kinesthetic learner? Am I an auditory learner? Will I pick up a podcast to learn? Or will I pick up a video to learn? Will I pick up an article which is written? Or will I sit and like to listen to you? So what kind of learner am I? I get to decide the way I want to learn because I know my skill sets. So learning to, basically independent learner can only be successful learner, or he can be steered into correct learning ways if we recognize the necessity of the learner. We have been talking about not being teacher-centric, moving to student-centric and all. What exactly is this being student-centric is? It means that you are just a facilitator, and if that facilitation comes from technology, wonderful. So that's the way to go.
I'll add, one more part to it. You're very right, Rita ma'am. We have evolved, and this we, when I say the entire education institutions over a period of time, have moved from a very conventional feedback analysis in schools to personalized feedback analysis. And when I talk about personalized feedback analysis, it comes with independent learning, because there all children are not rated on one uniform scale, but their scale is on different rubrics. That comes with their independent vision of learning in the process. So I am with it in this process of, knowledge of media information literacy.
Then our role comes in designing those rubrics.
Yes.
Those rubrics have to be designed so that it is beneficial for the student.
Yes, and there again comes the role of the teachers. That is important part. So the classroom cannot be without a teacher. If it is technology, the designer, the creator, the architect of the classroom is the teacher. This is my strong emphasis on.
I would also like you to talk about the media literacy part that you shared with us, that how you are taking it forward in your school.
Yes. So, we have, everyone was talking about NEP, talking about skill education. We started from classes 3 to 9. Why 3 to 9 was because that's the stage when the child starts forming and starts taking decisions in life, whether it is personal front decision or decision in sports, different activities. Because our focus was to make the children be an independent learner in the process. I am sitting today, but I remember sitting with my team of teachers in February, March, when we had weaved a complete curriculum with the stages of learning from 3 to class 9, with an aim that when 9 class child passes out the school and moves to 10th, the child is perfect blend of that independent vision which we want in the child. So what we created in the curriculum was added in the curriculum of knowing what is the use of media and information in education, then making the children learn about different cyber safety norms, training the children to use technology as an educational resources with the knowledge of podcast, with the knowledge of how to use the webs, how to make your different devices and apps too. And in the transition, we aim to make the children reach to a level where the children in the classes 6, 7, 8, they prepare their complete media house of collecting information, releasing the information, talking about the information for the different public portals. So ultimately, a child who is the ambassador of the school uses technology and media for having that independent learning, I think, which is the aim of all schools, every educationist in the country.
Sir, here I would like to add that media literacy is must for all. I mean, not only children, teachers, parents also, because children are now learning through various medias. How safe are they? And children are opened to a big universe, metaverse, which we are talking about. Once they are exposed to that level, we are not at all sure what kind of knowledge they are gaining. And there has to be a stop to it. Somebody has to keep a check. Definitely, internet is going to provide, technology is going to provide lot of information to students, teachers, but use of media has to be scrutinized, and we all have to be trained. So I think whenever any app comes, any platform of media appears on any interface or wherever on the internet, before exposing our children, we all should have that, not only teachers. See, teachers will explore every part of it. We should always remember, children think a step ahead of teachers. Even when we started with MS Team and, all those online platforms to teach, that happened in a single day in every school.
Indu, they are digital natives.
Yeah.
They are digital immigrants. So it has to be that.
I still remember how on MS Teams, teachers had a limited scope, they had a limited usage, but children could learn everything about that. So media literacy is very important, not only for the children and teachers, even parents, because children are using internet, online media everywhere, at home, at school, while they're traveling, while they're eating. So keeping a check, control is very important. Learning is definitely going on, and it will continue. Thank you.
So those who are listening to us here and those who will listen to us online later, media literacy is something very important. Why do we say this? Media literacy subsumes a digital literacy into it, information literacy into it. And when we talk about media literacy, it is not about only creating a curriculum. It also talks about creating an avenue where you test it. So you give them a project work, ask them to find out something, and over there you create an opportunity for the students to understand how that media is supposed to be used.
And they're exercising their logical,
Absolutely.
analytical thinking to separate wheat from chaff.
Yes.
From good to bad.
Absolutely.
So it's so important. Very right.
Indu ma'am, when we are on this concept, when we are talking about students being, exposed to such myriad information around them, how do you think technology is simplifying interactions and subsequently the feedback? Sonia ma'am touched upon it, and I would like you to expound on it a little, that how technology simplifies the interactions
Learning.
and then how
It
learning
simplifies
interactions,
the learning, because everything is available on internet, and you give any topic to the children, and on a click of mouse, the information is there. And it's very easy also. In our times, ma'am, we all belong to the almost same era. We used to stay late night to read books, underline the major points. Now everything is available in bulleted form, whatever form they want. They want audio form, it's available. They want video, it's available. PPTs, it's available. Everything is available.
Even the classroom has come online now.
Yeah,
A person
everything is
comes with
available.
a complete replete with a board, with pens, with a video, and the person trying to do an activity
See,
to the
this
child.
we are talking about the information.
Yes.
Knowledge is different.
Absolutely.
And the last thing, that wisdom, how wise they become, because now they are addicted to screens. You give them a topic, independent learning is perfect. They will create a project, anything you give them to do, they will do independently. But most of the students will have almost similar content because they are going to the same.
I don't even know whether that can be called independent.
Yes,
learning.
that's what. Because they always just Google whatever project you will give. So simplified learning is okay. It has become very simplified. And if you want some audio notes on it, it's available. If you want some videos on it, YouTube gives you everything under the sun. And how to convert it into knowledge. Having data, information is different thing. Converting into knowledge and then becoming wise using, the generation is exposed to information, but we should not say we are the principal, but it's not a wise generation. They still need lot of polishing.
So, I mean, let's take that challenge upon us.
Yes.
So when we have to create wise learners, so how do we get that wisdom into it so that they're able to separate wheat from chaff? It will only be brought in through 21st century skills. They got to be analytical. They got to understand what they're processing. How do they actually, whatever knowledge, I mean, we keep talking about Bloom's taxonomy, and we used to keep saying, okay, at the lowest level and all. Our question papers, if you look at it, they're only talking about recollection and remembering, and remembering recollection is not really required anymore when the information, like Indu ma'am mentioned, it is there just a click away. So when it is just a click away, what we need to exercise or build within these students' brain is probably the other skills that we have just kind of highlighted.
I agree. I think I'll add more. Here, again, my point comes with the teachers. They play a very important role. And adding to the same, I'll share one small example. We started with AI, and again, there's a complete robotics and AI curriculum. All of you must be having in your schools, structured in a manner to make the children be exposed to. So having that fundamental approach and technology as a tool given to the children, when we started working, and it's been almost 3 months till now, we saw the children coming to us and further going into enrollment to professions like drone pilot. Recently, one of the students qualifying to be, the drone pilots. And I was strange. I said, I had never heard of the term. I knew pilot, but drone pilot. So this comes with that knowledge, and this step, when first is initiated from the school, it gives lot of transition in the learning culture. And that is what is supported with technology and the right type of mindset and the direction which the schools and parents together create. So I think I agree with both of your viewpoint that how the schools and the parents come together to give that direction. With technology, you can make the child as well as you can break the child.
Here I will add one point, case study from my school. Do we have
Definitely,
time?
definitely.
As ma'am said, it's the duty of the educationist particularly to convert that knowledge into wisdom. So my class 12th, they were having some topic of rocket science, how to shoot a rocket up in the sky, and I asked the physics teacher, you give them a homework, how a rocket moves in the space. They all will give you complete information about the hydrogen and all the chemicals used. So while I was just seeing the class going on, I called 2 or 3 boys. I said, let's prepare a rocket in the school. If you know everything, and we can get all the chemicals. So now the boys have taken the challenge. They have tried at their home a blue drum, a kerosene drum, chemical drum of 10 kgs. They are able to shoot up to roof level of the school using that rocket technology, which they have studied in the classroom. So it was actually the use of knowledge converted into some kind of application. For them now, it will remain with them forever. All those 2-3 boys who have done that 10 kgs of blue chemical drum or water drum, whatever, they have just thrown up to 10 feet of level, or more than, I think, 50 feet. So that's going to stay. The whole crux of this discussion.
So you are already doing cognitive learning or experiential learning in your school.
We
So
all.
if we start, all of us start sharing stories, we'll sit here. I think we
Yes.
should connect later with our audience and let them know what are the beautiful things that we do for our students. And when I was asking you this question, I wanted to touch upon how adaptive learning is becoming the new buzzword, and that how it helps in feedback. So that was my question to you, and I would like Rita ma'am to please touch upon that.
Yeah, see, firstly, the moment we understand what learning is, what is the purpose of learning, the entire thing falls in place. The learning outcome of whatever, if it's a 40-minute thing, I concentrate and talk about a learning outcome. If I'm talking about preparing citizens for the world, then I connect it with the educational outcomes. So whatever my outcome is, that is my end. What are the means or what are the ways I will adopt will decide whether I'm able to reach the end or not. If the end is meeting the learning outcome in those 40 minutes, so my thrust or my endeavor has to be whether the child understands or not. If my thrust as a, say, forget about a teacher's perspective, maybe let's talk about the leader's perspective, who's steering the entire school ahead. Am I reaching my vision, what the school was built up for? Am I actually able to meet the educational outcome? When we talk about adaptive, there is a small concept called choice boards in our teaching pedagogy. When we teach a concept, am I giving enough number of variety of exposure to the child to pick up his own way? A very small example, maybe I'm trying to teach, say, literary devices. I'm not an English person, I'm a maths person, but I'm trying my bit in English. When I'm trying to teach literary devices, do I make a child write a poetry? Do I make a child do a table on literary devices and pinpoint in a mathematical manner how do I identify literary devices? My purpose is to teach literary device. How do I go about it? When we do the adaptive learning, there are multiple facets to this particular term. One is going according to the learning style. Another one is going according to the resources which are available. Another one is for example, it's the same concept in how do I teach in a 5-star kind of AC school with a whole lot of state-of-the-art technology, and we just finished a session on score with CBSE, and we were trying to differentiate how do I read the excellence level of a rural school. Do I actually look at the AC and beautiful staircase and decide this is a very beautiful school? It is all about process. It is all about how we provide the process to the entire learning. And that process can ride over the technology. The adaptations are immense number of adaptations which are possible as long as we know where we are getting at. So this is how I will try to answer your question.
Still left on, I think, feedback mechanism. Feedback part is still left.
You turned off your mic.
Yeah, it's already on. Is it okay? Feedback part is still left. I think you were asking about it. So I think with technology and every data, every work of child available, monitored, we have instant feedback on various parameters of each child. And this helps us to locate the areas where the child is actually performing well or not, and where we need to work on the child. So feedback has become very easy using this simplified learning and self-learning, independent learning, because everything is on the, again, I'll say click of the mouse. The parents can get the feedback immediately, whatever. And whatever testing, evaluation is being done, it goes to the child immediately, and too many parameters are being checked and evaluated, and it helps in the overall holistic development of the entire child and school through this.
So over here, I'll put a small concept about how vertical progression will help in adaptive learning. Now, when you have a vertical progression planned out for each subject, we get a sense of where each student is in his learning curve. I think technology can play a major role in that. When, we cannot, in good faith, we cannot go to the level of every child in a classroom. We've got a classroom of 40, 45. We can never know which child is at what level. But that's where technology comes in, and there, that adaptive learning, that is something that I would like to see in the future, where my class of 40 students are able to learn at their own pace, and wherever they are stuck, they're taken back. I know there are companies who are doing it now, but then a more wide-scale model. Okay. A wide-scale model is what we would like to. So, we'll take a last question with Sonia ma'am, and I would like you to talk about how classroom experiences are getting better with this technology powering independent learning. And when you're talking about this, I would also like you to touch upon how these tools create a cognitive learning environment also.
I think I would take more recent examples, because if I go 2 years back, 2020, there was a very conventional style of teaching and learning that we all had seen and witnessed. But now, witnessing the children in on-site learning and with blended learning tools in hand, the complete environment of teaching learning has changed. The learning has become just not for the sake of assessment. The learning is happening as a continuous process. Now, in this continuous process, the tools which the teachers have been using and putting forth has some measurement or quantifiable terms. I remember that every teacher used to have an average score in subjects in classes, and that was the point of discussion when analysis of results were being made. However, now, with technology in place, we are able to map every question performance of the child. We are able to map that how many children could not perform a particular topic well in the assessment. We could assess that what percentage of children were able to answer the HOTS in the paper. With these all data, again thanks to technology, we are able to modify the learning process. With this modification of the learning process, what the end output is that every child adapts to a learning. There is no one single size that fits in everyone in the class. When you have such technology supporting the teachers in the system, every child gets potential to move. Whether the child is at 50%, the child would move to higher level. And if the child is at 90%, the child will still move on to a higher level. So the progressive alignment of the classes are better quantifiable now with the use of technology. And if you have these implemented throughout the school, after some time you will have solutions to the problems which generally had been the concerns for a lot of teachers in the past, coming from teachers only. I think this is a transition to adapting to technology for making the better and efficient use, because ultimately the children are output who take with technology and understanding to a mastery level.
So over here, I'd like to add, when we give students the charge of their own learning, that's when the entire learning actually takes place. And when they are asked to justify, as you said, HOTS, when you say HOTS, it is basically them trying to gain more understanding about what they learn. We ask them a question, what is what? And we finish it at that. And when we shift to this model where we bring in technology, we don't only remain as what is what. We say what it is, why it is, how it is, when it is, where it is. All those questions come from the students themselves.
While these, I think we have 50% educationists in this room, and probably more than 50 are the people who are working in technology at tech companies, etc. A word for them that while you are designing any technology or any edtech, please keep in mind the Piaget's the theory, because how the cognitive development has actually happened among the children. How do the small child to the adult, what are the, when we're talking about technology to support cognitive development, the creators, the edtech tool developers, have they kept in mind those stages? It's very important. Do not, I mean, it's very easily we tell a parent that do not give a mobile to a student, to a 1-year-old child. Why that should not be given? If we try to explain that to parent, people who are in edtech technology industry, they must understand why and what, at what age, whatever you are preparing for a nursery kid, or if you're proposing for a class 7 kid, please look into this theory. It's very important. Half of the time we refuse edtech tools because they're not matching with the biological age of the child. So just a word for everyone here.
Right, we have been asked to wrap up. So we are teachers and we can basically go on for a long time. And this topic is something that is close to not only 4 of us here, but almost every principal who is working across the country. We want technology to come in. We want interactions of media with the students. But when this designing is being done, as ma'am said, the cognitive development of the children should not be hampered in any way.
And in the last, nothing can beat the presence of a teacher, well-prepared teacher
So
in the classroom.
that was my closing remark. A message from this panel to every person who will be watching this: use technology as a tool. We know technology is a resource. It is a very resourceful. It is resourceful. It's a supplement. So our message is that technology is here to stay, and we will always use this technology as a tool in our classrooms so that cognitive learning, independent learning, and whatever learnings in the future will be catalyzed by technology. Yeah? And that's our time, I guess. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Francis Fernandes, Principal Asia English School, Ahmedabad, for wonderful.